Macros, Mindset, and Muscles.
I'm Coach James.
And I'm Coach Brittany.
We're here to give you the truth about health and fitness.
No gimmicks, no bullshit, just facts. Here we are. It's April.
The 2nd of April, no longer April Fools.
We're always fighting about who's going to start this episode.
I'm like, I want to do it. And Brittany's like, no, I'll get to do it.
I'm sure that's exactly how it goes. Y'all believe that?
I mean, everybody knows they tune in to listen to me.
Clearly.
I'm the one with the face for radio.
Well, I can't wait to hear how you're going to discuss this topic today.
I'm going to discuss it.
Because you're an expert in this.
You're an expert. Use your big brain.
So, would you like to lead this conversation?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Well, today we're going to be talking about we're talking about tracking your food in MyFitnessPal.
Which ultimately does relate to macros.
It does.
So you weren't wrong there.
I wasn't. See, this is how you engage people. See, look at you. You look at you're hooked. You couldn't wait to get in part of this conversation.
You're hilarious.
This should be a clip it.
Okay, so in all seriousness, one of the biggest things that we end up teaching our clients is how to track their macros effectively. And it's a learning curve. There's a lot of room for error. So we try to work a little bit at a time to help our clients work through, the process and learn how to track effectively. We're going to be talking about MyFitnessPal specifically because that is an app that we use with our clients that syncs with our app so that data transfers over.
Yeah, it can be really intimidating and overwhelming, trying to meal plan, count macros, and it's very important to finally see what your numbers are. What are you eating? What are you taking in?
Yeah.
I
had a thought and you ruined it.
You're just gonna put it on me like that.
Just gonna say it since we're being honest.
Honestly. Well, I bet it was good.
It was great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just get into it. We're going to talk about how you can track your macros and the errors, that commonly we see. We did touch on this briefly in our episode, our last episode, and reasons why you're not seeing success. So hopefully once we get through this, you'll have a better understanding and maybe you'll be able to fix some things that you might be doing wrong when it comes to tracking your macros.
So what's the first thing that you would suggest to somebody that's starting with MyFitnessPal?
So I think the biggest thing is obviously you need to familiarize yourself with the app and understand the app features. There's paid versions and there's free versions. The free version works just fine. The biggest thing that a lot of people had issues with recently was that they made the scanner, the barcode scanner, a paid version, which there's a way around it. You can just change your location to the UK, and then you can use the scanner that way. But the scanner is not the most accurate way for you to be logging your food entries. Anybody can make these entries. They can create them. So, in my experience, 9 times out of 10, the barcode that is scanned is not the right information. So you need to make sure that you're verifying the labels with the information that you're logging.
That's a good one. Just because the other day we had a new sauce and you went to log it and it was not even in MyFitnessPal, so you had to create it. So originally somebody may have created the one that you're pulling up and it's incorrect because they just entered all the information wrong.
So you want to make sure that you're, double checking that. So if you scan, a box of crackers and that the label has 15 grams of carbs, and then when you scan the barcode, you just go with what it pulls up without checking it, you leave a lot of room for error there. Most often, when you're not verifying the labels, it leads to under tracking. So most people tend to underestimate the calories that they're getting in. So when we ask them if they track and they say yes, or they've tracked in the past and they think they're eating, I'm eating about 900 or 1200 calories. Most often that's not the case. It's just a case of under tracking.
It's true. I'd say that I've had that happen quite a few times. And once everything has been tracked, it's a much larger number. And then looking at they were actually in a surplus.
So outside of the labels, when you get to like raw foods and stuff, like how do you track these raw foods? Like how do you determine what is an accurate entry for, your protein source or your raw vegetables? You can go to the USDA website and you can search in the food that you're looking for and type in the portion. Like most of the time, it'll be smaller portions. It'll be broken down by grams or ounces. And you want to, if you're looking for chicken, you would search, boneless, skinless chicken breast, raw. It's going to come up as raw, which we'll get into that in a minute. And then, it'll be like 110 grams or 112 grams, 100 grams, something like that. And then you want to make sure that that information is matching up with the entry that you're picking in MyFitnessPal. Now to further touch on like, how to properly like weigh your food and stuff, when you're talking about protein sources, most of the protein information you're going to find within the app and on the USDA website is based on raw data. So 4 ounces of chicken raw is not 4 ounces of chicken cooked. Mm-mm. And most often people will weigh it cooked and still log it as 4 ounces. And if this is what you've been doing and this works for you, that's fine. It's consistent. But the accurate data, 4 ounces raw, will be roughly 3 ounces cooked. So when you weigh chicken as 4 ounces and you log it as 4 ounces after it's cooked, you're actually not getting 4 ounces. It's more than that. So you're, again, under reporting what you're eating because you're weighing it wrong. Mm. A lot of foods will be based on like the dry weight and stuff like that. So oatmeal and pasta, rice, like these entries that we see commonly, it's based on the pre-cooked weight. So when you cook things like oatmeal and pasta and rice, the weight actually almost doubles once it's cooked because the water it gets absorbed into the the food product,
which is a big thing. If you eat 1 cup of dried rice versus what was it, like 4 cups it makes, 3 cups it makes?
Yeah, so like 1 cup, I mean, okay, so 1 serving of like cooked or raw rice is like a 1/4 cup.
Right.
So it's like 45 grams or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, a cooked portion of that would probably be about 100 grams of rice. So if you're eating a cup of cooked rice, that's really like roughly a 1/4 cup dry.
Yeah, I can see where that could be an issue.
So making sure, like, just read the labels. Like when you read the labels and you're trying to figure out your serving size, look at what it says. Like oatmeal, it'll say, 45 grams dry, or I can't remember what the number is on it off the top of my head.
Like with grits, it's 46 grams. Like off the top of my head, I can already think of it. And oatmeal, it's the same. It's about the same for serving. Cream of rice, a little different story though.
Yeah.
Yeah, always weigh those dry.
Yep, and then your protein sources, again, like you're doing that and it's been working for you and you're weighing it, you need 4 ounces of chicken and you weighed it cooked, like your data's off. But if you've been doing that consistently, then just keep doing what you're doing. But when it comes down to it and you start saying, I'm not seeing any progress, these are things that we're going to troubleshoot with our clients. Like, well, how are you weighing this? Like, are you counting all of your sauces? Like, your sauces count. A lot of people don't realize this, but they're like, oh, I just had a salad. And again, we've talked about this before, and they're adding, 600 calories worth of dressing onto their salad. And they're not thinking about it because, in their mind, they're like, I'm not eating that much. And they're not by volume, but calorie wise, like the foods that they're choosing are calorically dense. Yeah. So they're getting a ton of calories in like such a little volume of food.
Like, how are you measuring this? Like, are you just eyeballing that? Looks like a couple tablespoons.
Yeah.
Or are you, weighing it?
And, weighing, is the most accurate way when it comes to macros. Like every food that you eat that comes in a container or whatever, like there's going to be a weight for a serving size. 1 serving size is that weight. Typically 2 tablespoons is anywhere from like 28 to 32 grams. It just depends on what you get. But like peanut butter, it's like a 2 tablespoon serving.
Yeah.
And again, 28 to 32 grams, somewhere in there, depending on what you get. And it's not very much. So if you're just eyeballing, or you're using a regular like kitchen tablespoon, like the metal ones, and you're like, oh, that's a tablespoon.
Yeah, you're grabbing the big spoon too.
Yeah, and it's the big spoon. Like you're really, really off base here.
Yeah, don't worry, I measured it. It's cool. It's cool.
And the same thing with measuring cups, is using a cup or a tablespoon better than not at all? Probably, but still for accuracy, like these are things that we're going to troubleshoot if you come to us telling us you're tracking and you're not seeing results. Yeah, like we're going to know how accurately are you tracking.
Are you getting a true cup, or you got a big mounded rolling top cup? Is it falling off the sides?
I mean, even like with rice, right? So like it's something I experiment with a lot. But like if I'm trying to get 100 grams of rice, people will say that's a cup of cooked rice. It's not. Like if you put if you fill up a cup, depending on the person, like how the cup is filled is going to look different. Like you said, like it might be a heaping cup, it might be a leveled cup, it might be a packed cup. So what that looks like for each person is different. Mm-hmm. So that's why weight is the most accurate.
Also, how long ago did you make that rice? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if it's been a couple of days, that moisture has gone down. So the weight,
yeah, it changes as it sits. So you want to, make sure that you're weighing your food correctly and you're measuring it correctly, and you have the right data, whether it's raw or cooked. You just need to make sure that you're verifying that stuff. Another thing that you can do to make sure that you're tracking accurately is turn your exercise calories off. Again, this is for MyFitnessPal. I'm not sure how the other apps, the other common ones work. I'm sure there's something similar, but a big common issue in MyFitnessPal is a lot of people don't turn off their exercise calories. And, one, exercise calories are extremely inaccurate for how much they burn. So we don't want to take that into consideration at all. And number two, we're trying to create a calorie deficit by one, decreasing your food, and two, increasing your movement. Strategically, we don't want to do too much of one thing. So if you're adding back in the calories that we're burning, trying to create a calorie deficit, then you're really just you're canceling out the work that we're doing. Net carbs is another thing. You need to make sure that net carbs are turned off and just count all carbs. When you look at a label, especially products that are marketed specifically like towards like keto people and people who follow keto, or low carbs, they'll look at things and it'll say, only 5 net carbs. But when you look at it, it has 20 carbs in it. And that's because they subtract the fiber or the sugar or alcohols. Just count all the carbs. That's the most accurate way you're going to do this. Okay. Not tracking consistently. Again, this is something that we touched on in our last episode. You do good through the week and then go crazy on the weekends. And then you're like, I'm not seeing progress. Well, that's because you were in a deficit all week. And then on the weekend, you went ham and you ate 4,000 calories 2 days in a row. Yeah. Just from eating out a few times.
Yeah, looking at somebody's food logs, it can be trying to figure out what's going on when there's maybe like 4 days and they're hitting everything just perfect. Like you said, and they're in a deficit. And then all of a sudden, they're missing 2 days and it's Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday. And then they're concerned because the scale or whatever is not reflecting what they thought. But if they're not tracking and they're just eating freely, then they may have entirely just made up for all those calories they cut out for the week prior.
And drinking too. Like, we'll never be the ones to tell somebody like, hey, you need to stop drinking. But if you go out drinking every weekend and then you're upset when it's check-in day and the scale's up and you feel like crap and you're bloated and everything, well, alcohol is a literal like poison to your body.
It is poison.
So, I mean, your body, when you consume alcohol, it's going to metabolize that first. And it's going to cause some inflammation and other things, which this isn't the episode for that, but just basic understanding. Like, your body's going to try to get rid of the alcohol first.
Before it tries to burn fat and everything. Like, it's just going to store what you consume.
And alcohol has calories. 1 gram of alcohol is 7 calories. So it's a little bit less than fat, but it's also more than carbs and protein. So if you're not accounting for your alcohol, also, like, you're not tracking accurately.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a crucial thing. Like, if you're, if you're healthy overall and tracking isn't something you need to do, like, don't worry about it. It really should be a not long-term thing for most people. Like, you need to get an understanding of your intake and what a portion size actually looks like. And for most people, that will be just fine. Granted, most people, okay?
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's a wake up call I know it is for me when certain products and you look at it and you look at the label and you're thinking, oh, well, it only has this, this, and this, and then you actually pour out that serving size versus what you normally would have eaten. That's a rude awakening. Like, wow.
I was really eating like 6 times that.
Wow. Yeah.
Peanut butter.
like I'm a table of 4 over here.
All right. So going into the features a little bit on MyFitnessPal, I really do like MyFitnessPal because you can break it down into like number of meals, like especially if you have the premium, which I do because I've tracked for years and it's not like a pain in the ass to me. Like, there's times where I go without it, just eat intuitively, and then there's times where I'm really on it, and it's just a feature that I like having because I like data. So I break up my meals. I have like 6 meals on MyFitnessPal, and I make it so that it shows my macros instead of calories because that's what I want reflected. I don't want to see my calories. My calories are like, as long as I'm hitting my macros, I'm getting my calorie range in.
I like that it has like snack, because a lot of people do have a midday in between the meals snack.
Well, and you can change your meal names.
Right, but like it's also like, hey, log this also, because it may not have been a very large substance of food that you just consumed, but you also need to track it because even snacks count.
Yep, snacks count. Drinks, if it's not a 0-calorie drink, it counts. Energy drinks have carbs in them, so y'all know.
What? What?
Blasphemy. But yeah, so you have your meals that you can change the names. Like, I just have mine labeled 1 through 6 because breakfast doesn't mean I'm going to eat breakfast. Lunch doesn't mean I'm going to eat lunch. And I might have a snack where breakfast is, and I just leave them numbered. So.
It is funny. Like, I don't refer to anything as like breakfast or lunch or dinner. It's like, all right, meal 1, meal 3.
Yeah.
meal 6.
Now, I will refer to dinner because it's the one meal that I usually do with the kids, you know, but all the other meals they're numbered.
It's funny. I just caught myself, like, even when I post on Instagram, it's a picture. It's like, all right, meal 1 and 2. Like, I just don't. People are probably like, what is this dude doing?
So you can change those in there. You can actually put your time in also in the premium. So when you're, trying to eat every few hours, which we generally do every 3 hours, it's like a meal or a snack, which usually a snack for us is a small meal. So having that time option, and then that way you can look and make sure, you can troubleshoot things, I think, better. So, like, if you start feeling a certain way, well, what did I eat last? What time did I eat that last? Like, it's there. You don't have to question it.
Right. And then you could also see, like, just for example, like one of my clients, and we were talking about it earlier, it was like, I feel hungry at this time. Okay, well, let's see what you're having, at the meal before. What are you doing during the day? Mm-hmm. And you can adjust your meals accordingly so you're not feeling that hunger in between, so where you might not be tempted to snack more.
Correct. Further into like the features, MyFitnessPal, you can create recipes and like meals. So the recipe is really cool, and this is where a lot of people will struggle because a lot of people aren't like bodybuilders. They don't just make separate things. Like, we will cook up a batch of protein on the weekends. So multiple batches of protein. So like, generally I'm cooking like chicken breast, chicken thighs, and sirloin, because James will eat chicken thighs and sirloin, whereas I'll eat chicken breast throughout the week. And then we'll make like a carb source. So we'll make white rice. And then like I'll make veggies and stuff. But, that works for us, and it doesn't always feel like the same meal because we use different sauces and things like that. A lot of people will cook meals for their families, and they make things that like go together, like stir fries or casseroles or lasagna, things like that all go in together. And the recipe area comes in cool because you can add in the ingredients as you make your meal from scratch, and you can calculate what the serving size is like, or what the macros are roughly. So if you're making, I'm going to say a lasagna, for example, just because
that sounds so good. You're making lasagna?
I'm not making lasagna. We're going to talk about lasagna though, because it's there. So, lasagna, you would have your ingredients. So you'd have your noodles and your meat and your cheese and your sauces. So you would want to log in how much of each of those things you're using. So whatever sauce you use, like maybe you use a jar sauce and maybe it's Rao's or something, and you log that sauce in. You're going to use one whole jar, and then however much meat you're going to use, say you use a pound of 96 lean ground beef, you would put a pound of that in. And then like your noodles, maybe it's a box. So like you would put the weight of the box, like the noodles in the box, and you would just weigh, like put it in for each like product that you use. It'll ask you how many serving sizes it'll be. Again, this is going to be a rough guesstimate because your serving sizes are probably not going to be equal, because like if you have kids, like your kids are going to eat a smaller portion size than your grown ass husband. So it's a rough estimate. So maybe one, if you have two kids, maybe they're eating a portion size together. But anyways, the point is that you can add all these ingredients in, and then you can say, hey, this is going to serve 8. So you should have 8 servings. Again, this is just an example. Once you do that and you verify all your entries, you can hit the next button and it'll give you the macros per serving. And then you can save that as your recipe. So when you go back and make it again, you can just go to your recipes, find it, and log it in your dinner.
I like it.
So
I also like, it's not as complicated as that part. It's just when like you're having meals that you're going to repeat. Like say you take this for lunch and you normally you're going to keep doing that. Like you can save that meal so you don't have to enter it all in individually each time. Like if it's your standard meal that you have each day, you can still track it. You can just input meal number 2 and it just plugs it in without having to go through all the weight and finding and selecting everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Even that, like, yes, you can save as a meal too. So one of the like I have our pho saved as a meal. So we have a like standing date, and on Wednesdays we'll go have pho. And it's hard to track that because it's at a restaurant, one, and like I'm not making it, so I don't know everything that goes into it, but I can make an educated guess about what's in it. And in my experience, like I've weighed the noodles cooked at home before when I had it like carry out, and it was about 9 ounces cooked. So that tells me that the noodles itself were probably about 4.5 ounces dry. So I find a rice noodle, and I look at the macros and I just log that, because an educated guess is better than no guess at all.
Did you ever weigh like the chicken too?
No, but like the chicken.
I mean, it's easier to guess the chicken.
Yeah,
like,
the chicken is about 4 ounces.
Yeah,
because it just depends on if they're being like.
And that meal, yeah, right. But that meal, I mean, there's not too many crazy ingredients like to really.
Yeah, it's like rice noodles,
chicken broth,
and then chicken, green onion, cilantro, and
bean
then
sprouts,
hoisin and sriracha.
Yeah.
Which, like hoisin sauce has.
It's so good.
It has a lot of carbs, though. It's like so 20 grams of carbs per serving.
I can't believe I had never had that in my entire life. I've been eating pho for years, just stock. And you come in and you're like, have you tried this sauce? I was like, what do I do with it? You put it on it. And now I can't eat it without it.
So, back to what I was saying.
Sorry. I'm so hungry.
I have that saved as a meal, so when we go, I just log it. If I don't eat all my noodles, like I'll make a small adjustment on it. Again, it's an educated guess, but an educated guess is better than nothing. So, Yeah, save that as a meal. You can also copy your meals from day to day. So generally what I do, like if we meal prep through the week or whatever, I tend to change up the things that I eat more than James does because I'm at home.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me, but also like he's simple and that's just what works for him.
In a good way. Like that's not a negative thing.
No, it's not a negative thing, but also like you don't want to do the work to change your macros and shit for every meal. And you're not gonna have me do it because I'm gonna start cussing at you if you have me changing it every meal.
I have so many mixed feelings about what you said, so I'm just gonna let you keep going.
So, anyways, you can if today or whatever, I had a taco salad for lunch. So tomorrow I'll probably finish up the rest of the ground beef that I have in there. So I'll just copy my meal today to tomorrow, and then bam, it's already there. So through the week, that's generally what I do, because if I start the week having a meal, I'm probably going to finish out the week. So my breakfasts are pretty much always the same for the whole week. So I'll just copy each day. I have my coffee every morning. My coffee has calories in it. It has macros in it because I use oat milk. So I count that because it counts.
Everything counts.
It's a small amount, but it still counts. It's a couple grams of fat and a few grams of carbs, but it still counts.
Like if you didn't count that, and then there's another small thing you didn't count, and then there's another one at dinner, some other little sauce you didn't count. Now all of a sudden you're 20 grams over on something.
Exactly.
And it just adds up.
And it just makes you more aware of what you're taking in.
Mm.
So, there's tons of easy tools to make tracking easier. You just have to get the hang of it, and you have to find what works for you. Most people will eat the same foods. Whether you want to admit that you eat the same foods or not, you do. Your family probably, I combined those two words.
That was
did you see what
brilliant.
I did there?
Family.
Your family probably eats the same 15 to 20 meals every month. So
even eating out, people have the same
you
patterns.
go to the same places, you eat the same things. Hardly ever do people go to a restaurant and say, I'm going to try something different. You have the same things that you
They have a handful of things they just rotate.
Yeah. And that works the same at home. I mean, we do the same meals. Every now and then I'll throw something in that's a little different, but generally I've still made it before.
Yeah. I like to stick to the same meals for the most part of my day. So my breakfast, my meal 2, 3, snack, and then but have dinner and have that flexibility at dinner time, because I'd like to spend that with everybody. All the other meals I'm sitting there eating by myself, so it doesn't matter. But it's nice to have that change up at dinner.
So once you get in the habit of logging those foods that y'all eat regularly, you don't have to keep doing it. You'll start typing it in and it'll just pop up because you log it regularly. You got anything to add to that?
No, you covered it. And everybody knows your families.
Families.
The families be doing eating 5. No.
Oh, you're
I can't even say that. Families.
Family.
Family. Oh, it's got a nice little bop 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 in it.
Yeah,
family. But no, I can't do it. Anyways, you killed it.
So I don't know what to say now.
Well, we went over the everything counts, turning off or don't eat back your calories, count everything, even
all carbs.
We're
not doing net carbs.
Not net carbs.
Track on the weekends.
Track every day.
Yep. The only time you shouldn't track, if you're working with us, is if we say, hey, go have a free meal.
Yeah.
Well, and we say free meal just because, some people hear cheat meal and then they convince themselves that they're doing something bad.
Yeah.
It's still a meal that you're going to enjoy that's calorie dense.
Now, if it was a refeed, you would still count. That way you know that you're hitting those numbers. Or if our client went on vacation or something, there's a special event and we've already discussed this, hey, we're going to just have fun at that time.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I've gone over.
With MyFitnessPal, yeah, set it for the UK. Get the barcode thing if you need it, but it's not. But don't trust it.
Yeah, don't trust it because
double check it.
You gotta still check your entries.
Plain
food, raw versus cooked, cups, tablespoons, things like that is not as accurate as actually weighing it.
Scale's the best.
Yep, get a food
All the way
scale.
down to the gram if you like.
They're $10 to $20. We have a big one and it was like $15.
Yeah.
We have two.
We got 2 of them.
And then we have multiple small ones.
We just give scales out. Hand-me-down scales. I gave it like, do the work. Here you go. And yeah, MyFitnessPal is most widely known.
It is. It's used a
It
lot.
syncs up with a lot of apps.
I'm gonna open it and just make sure like I'm not missing anything, because I'll be like,
I also like it because when you can be friends with people and share your stuff, we can with our clients.
yeah, you can be friends with us and then we'll stalk all your bad eating habits.
No, we're just gonna see what kind of stuff you like to eat, bro. Maybe get some ideas.
No, it's cool too, because another thing like a lot of people don't realize is like fiber intake and stuff. You know, you can see all the nutrients that you're tracking. So that's always a plus, because if you're not having regular bowel movements and you're feeling bloated and just blah all the time, like maybe you're not getting enough fiber. Maybe you're picking too many foods that are processed and, you know, not enough wholesome foods. Not that you shouldn't eat processed foods, but there's, you know, science behind it all.
And I mean, you can see if you notice that you're starting to get gassy at the same time about every day, you can kind of take a look and see what foods you're having earlier and troubleshoot.
Recipes, meals. That's all I got. I think that's...
You covered a lot.
Yeah, pretty much covers it all. So hopefully this will help some of y'all. If you have questions going through this, you can always reach out to us on our social media. Coach James is at Gatewood901 on Instagram and TikTok. I am on Facebook in the women's Facebook group, Macros, Mindset, and Muscles for Women. Or you can find me on TikTok and Instagram also.
What's your name on Instagram?
My Instagram and TikTok name is It's Brittany Bitch.
It's Brittany.
But it's not really, because it's ITSBRTTNYBCH. So it's like all the vowels are missing except for the first initial I.
I like it though. I'm glad.
I mean, it fits me, so.
Yeah, so if they find you on one, they can find you on all.
Yes. So if you guys have questions about this, or maybe we missed a point, then just shoot us a message and we'll gladly help you work through it.
You can also follow us on Phoenix Transformations.
Yes. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Phoenix Transformations.
Phoenix Transformations.
Instagram is Phoenix.transformations.
Phoenix.transformations.
Anyway. All right. This is our April episode. So hopefully y'all get some good information out of this. And until next time.
I'm James.
Later.
Thanks for listening to Macros, Mindset, and Muscles. Until next time.
I'm James.
I'm Brittany. We're out.